Fortnite just accidentally leaked their own items. If you went into the news tab or logged in at a certain point today, you were given this prompt, and it shows you that the Shield Breaker EMP item was in the game, as well as the Sticky Grenade Launcher. Neither of these items made it into the game today, and Epic just forgot to do their own update. I don't know if today was supposed to be a content update for these items, and maybe one of them was broken or something went wrong, but it looks like they've delayed it to next week. But luckily, we now know exactly how these items are going to work. You probably saw both of these items in the trailers at the start of the season, but we didn't know exactly how they were going to work with their stats, and now we do. The Shield Breaker EMP creates a disruptive EMP burst on impact, damaging shields and temporarily disabling electronic devices in the area. We kind of already knew that just from the trailer, that's what it looked like, but we didn't know exactly how much shield it was going to break. So you can stack up to 6 of them and they deal 70 shield damage, and they also work on fishing holes, so I guess like regular grenades. They're also going to disable not only different like turrets and things like that, they're also going to be able to disable cars, lasers, vending machines, and cameras for 25 seconds. The main one there being cars. Now, I don't know if these are going to be in competitive. The fact that you can stack 6 of them and they deal 70 shield damage will be crazy. Now, it looks like at least currently they aren't going to actually deal any shield damage through walls, so they're not kind of like a stink grenade that does shield, almost like I thought they were maybe going to work as. It looks like it's a big pulse of 70 shield damage, but as long as you're behind some builds, it's going to keep you safe. So I don't think this item is going to be tremendously broken. Maybe in no builds it could be a problem, as obviously it's harder when you're behind a tree or holding some kind of an angle to keep yourself covered from a grenade. But as far as builds goes, if it goes into regular competitive, I don't think there's going to be too many situations where you can get these grenades onto someone, because since they're going to do no structure damage like a regular grenade, you can't just stack them. But the fact you can carry 6 of them, they're going to deal 70 shield damage, is insane. If someone finds out a way to make these work in competitive, it is going to be very, very questionable. But ultimately, I like the way this item works. I think it is really cool that it only affects shield instead of all the items we've seen in the past that only affect health. But ultimately, it should be a pretty fun, goofy item for pubs, but I don't think it's going to be too crazy, even if it goes into competitive. Unfortunately, we didn't get the exact stats of how much damage the Sticky Grenade Launcher is going to do or how rare it's going to be. That one we got no stats of, and we're going to have to wait until the content update next week. But again, this is the one that could be a lot stronger if it makes it into competitive. Some kind of grenade launcher that sticks to structures could be very problematic. It looks ultimately like it won't do as much damage as a regular rocket grenade launcher, and I hope so, because it's going to be so much easier to hit these. But I think this item is going to be a lot more fun and a lot crazier when it comes to being a pub item. I'd be surprised to see them put it in competitive, but we do have C4 in the current season, so maybe a Sticky Grenade Launcher and a C4, we'll see. Maybe we have an explosive meta on our hands. These weren't the only items that were leaked to be returning to Fortnite this season. We now know the Katana, or the Kinetic Blade, is coming back to Fortnite in Chapter 4, Season 4. Leakers went into the game files and found that it has now been named the Katana Vampire. Now, if you noticed in the opening trailer, we did see a katana on the back of Kato Thorn, but myself and a lot of other people thought it was just cosmetic. It looks a bit like the Kinetic Blade, but honestly, it looks very much like a backbling. It probably isn't coming back to the game. But there are people in the community like Hypex who have been very, very sure we are going to see the Kinetic Blade return to the game, and this just confirms it. Now, the fact that it's called Katana Vampire might be a little bit confusing, but if you paid attention to the trailer, obviously Kato Thorn is a vampire. You can tell that much, so it looks like this might be his mythic that's going to come out for Fort Nightmares. Obviously, Halloween is right around the corner. Fort Nightmares is usually pretty major updates, and it looks like this might be a mythic they're bringing out just for that. So instead of being kinetic blades or katanas all around the map at the different spawns, it looks like there will just be one of them that you get by taking down Kato Thorn. So it probably answers your next question. Is this going to be in competitive? Now, I don't know, because Kato Thorn and the different mythic bosses actually are in competitive. Those are the only NPCs that are in the game. So there is a chance that coming into Copenhagen, the $4 million land in the middle of October, we are going to have a mythic katana. Now you're thinking, why would it be mythic? What's it going to do differently? Is it going to do more damage? No one uses the katana to do damage anyway. I potentially actually think this could have extra uses. It could be like the mythic hammer that had an extra charge. So if someone is taking a katana into endgame in Copenhagen that has 4 charges, it is going to be ridiculous. Now, moving on to some sad news, we have Aqua, one of the all-time GOATs, retiring from Fortnite. He is the second highest earner in the game's history, and he's decided to step away seemingly for good. If you follow competitive Fortnite, this may not come as a surprise to you. Aqua really hasn't been playing that much during Chapter 4. He hasn't been placing that highly, and he didn't qualify for global champs. But it's not unusual for Aqua to go long periods of time stepping away from the game. He's done it a lot in the past and then come back and literally won FNCS. So I think a lot of people were just hoping Aqua was taking a break and he was going to come back and start dominating like he always does. But he gave no reason to why he's stepping away, but it looks like he is stepping away for good. It seems like Aqua hasn't really been enjoying competing for a long period of time. Most of the breaks he usually took was because he either wasn't enjoying the game or he does actually have overuse injuries with his hands. He has to take breaks from Fortnite, otherwise it gets too bad and he just simply can't play the game. And it looks like whether that's the reason or he just doesn't love Fortnite anymore, he is stepping away for good. And this has a lot of people very sad for obvious reasons. If you look at the top 10 earners in Fortnite history, there's only 4 of them that are still remaining. We have Booga, Epic Whale, Anas, and Nyrox still playing the game in some capacity. Pretty much everyone else on this list has completely stepped away from the game. And while it is always sad, I do try to tell people Fortnite is an open esport. The beauty of it is anyone who has any device, even a Nintendo Switch, can just show up in tournaments and compete. When you have that kind of atmosphere, you're always going to have new up and coming names taking over. You're going to have new players come out of nowhere and make a name for themselves. So it's very, very hard for some of these older players to keep up with that. Of course, with the skill ceiling of Fortnite, it is always expanding and it's very hard to dedicate the amount of time you need to stay on top across 4-5 years of competing for some of these guys. So while it's incredibly sad, I would love to see Aqua keep competing and keep dominating. He will be replaced by hopefully some other crazy players who we can watch in the future, and we just have to hope that Aqua's moving on to bigger and better things. But today we have lost one of the GOATs.